All right. Good afternoon, everyone, fellows. I've got Tina Roddenbery from Atlanta, Georgia here, one of our incredible fellows. Tina, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Would you give us a little bit of an introduction about you and history of the Academy and your involvement?
Yes, happy to do so. So I became a fellow in 1999. It was the same year that Elizabeth Lindsay and Carla Stern Maliver, who's our current Georgia State president, became fellows. And back then, the firm that I was with, I was the only fellow in my firm, and I was the youngest partner. And I did not get involved nationally because my other partners weren't in it and they weren't involved nationally. I just felt it wasn't my place to start getting involved nationally. So I really started getting involved nationally when my former law partner, who's now retired, Gwen Holland, I kept bugging her for years to apply. And she finally did and became a fellow in 2010 or 11. And we first came to the national annual meeting in 2011 together. And that's when I really started getting more active nationally.
And have you found, I'm sure, like many other fellows, that really you get out of it so much of what you put into it? I know how much you're involved, but some advice that you might give some of the younger fellows.
Absolutely. I think where you start is the committee work, especially now that we can do so much via Zoom and meet without having to travel, and you can be very active and not, yet start attending meetings if that's how you want to get started. I think establishing those relationships and learning about the Academy and really making a difference on the ground level is very rewarding. It helps you learn about the whole organization and helps you find your niche, if you will, and it can just grow from there. And so I did start working on some committee work back when I first started going to the meetings, and I've stayed involved with the committee work since.
Extremely involved. I was going to say, obviously, at the most recent national meeting that we had in Chicago, had a little bit of a surprise for you, and you won the Fellow of the Year award. What was that like?
It was shocking. It was, I just absolutely wasn't expecting it. And it was an honor that I didn't ever think that I would achieve, but I very much appreciate being recognized. And I think I was recognized for, as you say, staying involved and just trying to make a difference, and particularly with CLE the past few years, especially because we had to go, Jonathan Bates was co-chair with me, and we had to pivot from a live meeting, like the week the meeting was supposed to take place in Jamaica. We had to, just cancel that and then go to Zoom and learn how to give a CLE virtually. So I think that's why I was recognized, and I very much appreciate it. I was completely shocked.
And talk about pivoting on a dime. Was pretty amazing to see how y'all took from everything being in person to let's go virtual, and then be an interactive virtual experience for the CLEs that you were able to put in, over the last year is absolutely incredible. And had we waited maybe, another month to give you the award, you probably could have celebrated the championship of y'all's Bulldogs. So I know that's probably the second greatest experience you've had other than Fellow of the Year. What was that like being there in person?
It was absolutely stunning. At being in Lucas Stadium with 70% of that stadium was dog fans. It was clear, especially when Alabama had to slink out of the stadium and we were all left celebrating the championship and the award. It was clearly 70%, and it was electric from the time that first touchdown got called back until we had that last pick six and went into the end zone. It was just bonkers. It was so fun.
It was amazing. I tell you, incredible to watch. I'm sure it let the Durwards down and many other Alabama fans, but for the Bulldog fans, you guys have put in a lot of time. It was nice for Alabama to let somebody step up there for a change. So that's always good. What was one of the more, over the years since you've been a fellow, one of the more memorable trips that you've taken that you can remember? There's so many great ones we use, at least I do, when trying to get new fellows to join, rather than saying of how, to explain the organization is hard enough, but to really tell them, just get involved and come down for the trips. What's some of the more memorable ones you've had?
Well, I'm going to talk about one of the annual meetings, and then I'm going to talk about one of the trips to Mexico. So the annual meeting is so awesome because so many more people, it's a larger meeting, and you spend more, it seems like you spend more time getting to know people. When you're in the summer, in the mid-year meetings, there's so many wonderful outdoor activities and more leisure activities. So it isn't as much getting to know everybody, but that's still a wonderful experience. But my most memorable meeting of all time was in 2012. I need to check that year, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. And Barack Obama was the night I got into town at the McCormick Center, he was having we were waiting to see if he was going to win or not. And I decided at the last minute that I was going to go down there, and I started talking to people who had badges as they were leaving and say, can I have your badge? Can I have your badge? Can I go in? and it was looking like he was winning. And I talked someone into giving me their badge and went into the McCormick Center and stood with, I don't know how many thousands of people, and stood in a group of women that had gone to high school with Michelle Obama. And
Oh, wow.
celebrated that night and watched the family come out because we knew he'd won. That's one of my most memorable. I know that wasn't as much AAML, but it was an exciting trip. But then the last trip I went to, the Mexico trip, which was in 2000, was it in 19?
Yes, down to Cancun.
Yeah. My daughter was a junior in college, and so she came as my guest, and it was just wonderful for her to meet everybody through the academy. She actually came to this annual meeting too this past year, and actually was at the table when I won Fellow of the Year, because one of her roommates lives in Chicago, and they used it as an excuse for all their roommates to get together in Chicago. But the Mexico trip, where just a beautiful location and wonderful social events, and it was just very relaxing. It was a beautiful trip.
That's amazing. And I will say, I think you find this too, and I do with the Academy as well. It's so much of a family organization. It is a very inviting, where you have friends that you meet that are not just colleagues, they're truly become friends. And I think it's nice to have the family involvement that we don't find anywhere else. What's some, just some last words or advice that you'd give to young fellows considering the Academy, or, considering becoming members?
I think the relationships, which you just touched on, I think the relationships are what is most valuable. I mean, it's an amazing organization. It is the top of the top. And, we work so hard to increase professionalism in family law and make sure that we're doing what we can on the legal side, but it's the relationships that are invaluable. Everything from knowing if I need someone in Texas, I know, I know who I can call. I know the person, I know the quality of work that I'm going to get, but also just developing the relationship with experts that you have, that you don't quite have, another mechanism to develop that relationship. And again, just the time that you spend getting to know somebody and dedicating yourself to an organization, there's nothing like what you get back, right? You can't compare to what you get back in terms of your time. So just give it a try, just reach out there. There are a lot of people that want to help you along the process and are open to mentoring you in so many different ways. And the organization's full of them.
And speaking of time, I appreciate you taking the time out again today. I know, your very busy schedule, and you and I have worked together on many occasions. So I know it's not easy fitting all of this in, but I really appreciate it. And again, congratulations on Fellow of the Year, very much deserved. And so thank you so much, Tina.
Well, I appreciate your time, Jim. Thank you so much. All right, take care.